Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're stepping into the dynamic world of business today, really pulling back the curtain on what it sounds like inside a sales meeting, especially one that's, facing a real challenge.
That's right. And what we have to look at is this, well, incredibly insightful snapshot of a business conversation. It's just packed with this kind of specific vocabulary, those useful phrases, and the telling interactions that reveal quite a lot about how things really work in these settings.
Yeah, particularly around communication and, well, leadership, right?
Exactly. Those dynamics are key.
So our mission in this deep dive is to fully unpack this material. We're going to try and extract most valuable insights, get a really solid understanding of the language used right there, in context, and see what it truly tells us about navigating business conversations and, importantly, about effective versus maybe ineffective leadership. We want you to feel well-informed on all these points. Think of it as getting equipped not just with the right words, but with an understanding of the underlying currents, the dynamics that shape how ideas get shared, and, crucially, how they're received in a business environment.
Okay, let's dive right in then, to the heart of it. When we first join this meeting, the immediate feeling is, well, it's one of urgency. The core problem is stark, it's very clear, sales are down. Period.
Right. It's not subtle.
Not at all. And the manager isn't just saying, oh, we need to fix this someday. There's a really strong emphasis on timing. He states very directly, we've got to do something about our sales and we need to do it now.
That now is absolutely key, isn't it? It instantly just ratchets up the pressure in the room. You can feel it. This isn't some, long-term strategic planning session where everyone gets coffee and brainstorms leisurely.
No, this sounds much more like a crisis meeting. It demands immediate action.
Exactly. And that urgency is reinforced when the manager demands concrete solutions.
Concrete solutions. Okay, that's a phrase you hear thrown around a lot in business, especially when the pressure's on. What does that term really mean in this context, and why is the manager asking for that specifically?
Well, based on what we're seeing here, concrete solutions means moving beyond just abstract ideas or, general concepts. It's about demanding real, specific, actionable plans, things you can implement right away.
So not just, let's do better marketing.
Precisely. The material defines a concrete solution as a real or specific solution to a problem. It's not just improve customer service. It's more like, okay, we need to implement a 24/7 chat support system, train 3 new staff members, and have it live by the end of next week. Very specific.
Okay, I get it. So if the problem is declining sales, a vague idea is improve our marketing. But a concrete solution would be something like, launch a targeted digital ad campaign on Instagram next Monday with this specific budget and these clear performance metrics we're aiming for.
Exactly right. It's about the how, the specific steps, the things you can actually do and measure. And, from a manager's perspective, asking for concrete solutions is important because it pushes the team past just identifying the problem.
Right. It forces them to actually come up with practical, executable steps.
Yeah. They need plans specific enough that you can assign tasks, set deadlines, track progress. You need something tangible.
But asking for concrete solutions now, like on the spot, in a pressure cooker meeting like this, that must put the employees under a tremendous amount of pressure. I mean, coming up with detailed, actionable plans usually takes a bit of time, right? Research, data, planning.
Oh, absolutely. It's a really demanding request, especially when you combine it with that intense, urgent tone the manager uses right from the get-go.
Yeah, that tone is noticeable.
That combination, the urgency and the demand for immediate, detailed answers, it definitely creates this high-pressure atmosphere. It really sets the stage for the rest of the meeting's dynamics. You can almost feel the tension just reading the dialogue.
You really can.
Yeah.
So, okay, against that backdrop, low sales, need concrete plans. Now, the entire focus of this meeting and really most sales-focused business activities, it all boils down to one fundamental goal.
Yeah.
How to drive sales. This has got to be the most central phrase in the business world, right?
It really is, isn't it? And the material gives us a very clear, very straightforward definition. Drive sales just means to increase sales. Simple as that. To sell more.
It sounds simple, but it's everything.
It's the engine that powers most businesses. I mean, without sales, there's no revenue. Without revenue, a business struggles to survive, let alone grow or innovate or anything else.
So why is driving sales the absolute primary focus here? What makes it so fundamental, do you think?
Because, well, at the end of the day, sales are the lifeblood of any commercial enterprise. They're the mechanism by which a company generates income, pays its employees, invests in its future, delivers value to shareholders or owners. It's fundamental.
So if sales are down, like in this scenario,
It's not just an inconvenience, it's a threat, a real threat to the basic viability of the business. So every discussion in a sales meeting, every strategy debated, every idea proposed, whether it's about marketing or product features or pricing or customer service, it all typically ties back somehow to this one central objective, increasing the volume or the value of sales.
it makes total sense. It directly addresses that urgent need the manager kicked things off with.
Exactly. It's problem-solution focus.
Okay. And one of the most common sort of go-to strategies companies use when they need to drive sales, maybe particularly for immediate results, is through something called a promotion.
Yes, and it's important, like the material points out, to understand that when we say promotion here, we're talking specifically about a marketing or sales strategy. It's distinct from, getting a promotion at work where you move up the ladder.
Right. Different meaning entirely. So what kind of promotions are they talking about here? The material gives us a couple of very clear examples to illustrate this concept.
It does. One classic example is the buy one and get one free offer. You might also hear it called a 2-for-1 offer. Basically, you pay for one item, you get a second identical item for free.
Yeah, BOGO. We see those everywhere. Supermarkets, clothes shops, online. They're super common.
Very common. The other main example provided is a temporary price reduction. The material describes this as a product being sold for less expensive than usual. The specific example given is something that normally costs $5 being offered for $4 for a limited time.
A straightforward discount.
Huh.
Okay, so looking at these examples, BOGO, temporary price cuts, why are these types of promotions such a popular tool for trying to drive sales? What's the thinking behind them?
Well, they work by directly influencing customer behavior, usually in the short term. Buy one, get one free encourages customers to buy double what they might have originally intended. It increases the volume right there.
Right, moves more product.
Exactly. And a temporary price drop, well, it lowers the barrier to entry. It makes the product seem more accessible or maybe just a better value proposition right now. These promotions can attract new customers who might have been hesitant at the full price.
Or get existing customers to buy now instead of later.
Precisely. Or maybe buy more than they usually would. They create this sense of urgency. I should grab this now while it's cheaper, or while I get something extra free. It can really accelerate the purchasing decision.
Which lines up perfectly with that manager's demand for immediate results.
Absolutely. It's a way to bypass hesitation, prompt immediate action from potential buyers. It's seen as a direct lever you can pull to try and boost the sales numbers quickly. A tactical move.
Got it. Okay, so we've set the scene. Urgent problem, low sales, need concrete solutions now, the core objective, drive sales, and one common strategy, promotions. Now, let's actually dive into the interaction within the meeting itself as presented in the material. Let's see how the language and the dynamics unfold. Roger's the first one who kind of steps forward, maybe a bit cautiously, to offer an idea.
He does, and his suggestion seems rooted in a specific observation he's made about their competitive position in the market. He points out that the company is currently the most expensive in the market.
Okay, that's his premise.
Right. And based on that, he suggests lowering prices.
Lowering prices. And specifically, he uses the phrase to match the competitors. What does that phrase to match the competitors really mean in this business context, according to the material we have?
Well, to match the competitors means positioning your company competitively relative to others offering similar stuff. In Roger's case, suggesting it for price means bringing their prices down to be equal to or maybe even slightly better than the prices their rivals are offering. The material defines it as being as good as or better than other companies in the same industry, focusing on a specific aspect like price or perhaps quality.
And the examples the material gives really help clarify this, don't they?
They do. One is about a price guarantee. We guarantee that we can match the competitor's lowest price. That's a very clear promise to align their price with the lowest one out there.
Okay.
Another example shows the difficulty. It's impossible for us to match the competitors. Our costs are just too high. This highlights that, while matching might be a strategic goal, internal things like costs can make it unfeasible sometimes.
Right, it's not always possible.
And the third example broadens it slightly. Do you think we can match our competitors' prices and still keep our quality high? This points out that matching isn't always just about one thing. It might involve a balancing act, like trying to be competitive on price without sacrificing quality.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But in Rogers' specific suggestion here, the focus seems purely on matching price because the problem he identified is being the most expensive.
Exactly. His proposed solution directly addresses his observation about their position in the market.
Ah, in the market. That's another one of those common business phrases, the material flags. What does that signify?
In the market is really just a common way of saying in the industry. It refers to the whole group of companies selling similar products or services. It defines the competitive playing field, you know?
Yeah, the arena they're competing in. The examples make that very clear, too.
They do. Like saying English Pod is the best language pod in the market means it's considered the top one compared to all the other language podcasts available in that whole industry. Or remember, iPods are the most popular MP3 players in the market. That meant, among all the MP3 players available back then, iPods sold the most. And stating our product is the cheapest in the market clearly identifies a company's price position relative to all its competitors selling similar things.
So when Rogers says they are the most expensive in the market, he's stating what he sees as their factual position. Their prices are the highest compared to all their direct competitors.
Right. That's his starting point.
And his proposed solution, lowering prices to match the competitors, is a direct attempt to change that position. Presumably, the goal is to become more competitive on price, attract more customers, and ultimately drive those sales everyone's worried about.
Correct. He's identifying what he perceives as a disadvantage, being the priciest, and suggesting a very direct way to neutralize it. The goal is to become more competitive.
And competitive itself, the material reminds us, just means being as good as or better than others of the same type.
Exactly. So Roger wants to make them more competitive on price by matching the others. Seems logical enough on the surface.
It does seem logical. Okay, so Roger puts forward this idea. Now, this is where the meeting dynamic, based on what we see in the material, becomes incredibly revealing about the manager and maybe the company culture. The manager's reaction to Roger's idea is, well, it's not exactly encouraging.
Not encouraging is putting it mildly. It's swift, it's harsh, and it's really dismissive. He immediately just shuts Roger down, uses phrases like, not very creative.
Ouch.
Yeah. And he flatly states, it'll never fly with Swan, referring to the CEO, and then follows up with this critical, almost condescending question, what kind of thinking is that?
Wow, okay, it'll never fly. That's a powerful idiom, and you hear it a lot in business settings, right? What does it'll never fly actually mean based on the examples provided?
It's a pretty definitive way to just reject an idea completely. It basically means the idea won't work or it won't be approved. It's just not a good idea. Or that the people who make decisions, they'll never agree to it. It's designed to stop the conversation right there.
Like hitting a brick wall. The examples from the material highlight the different reasons why an idea might never fly.
Yeah, they do. This marketing plan will never fly. It's just too expensive. That clearly points to cost being the barrier. The idea's DOA because of the budget.
Makes sense.
Then there's, you want to sell bikinis in Alaska, that'll never fly.
Yeah.
That uses a bit of humor, maybe, to show an idea that's just fundamentally impractical or makes zero sense for the context.
Right, totally unsuitable.
And the story will never fly, it's not interesting enough, shows rejection based on the perceived quality or appeal of the idea itself. It suggests it just won't succeed in the market because it lacks appeal.
So when the manager tells Roger his price matching idea, it'll never fly with Swan, he's essentially saying, look, the CEO will never approve this, so let's just drop it. End of discussion.
Exactly. And it's a quick way to shut it down, but also to subtly signal where the real power lies with Swan, the CEO. It's not about debating the merits anymore.
And notice the tone again, as you pointed out, it's not a constructive rejection. He doesn't explain why Mr. Swan might not approve it or suggest alternatives. It's just dismissive and personally critical. What kind of thinking is that?
Yeah, that part's really telling. It's not just about rejecting the idea, it's about how you treat the person offering it.
Yeah.
This kind of reaction is a major piece of the puzzle when we look at the manager's poor leadership style as presented here.
He shuts down idea number one instantly, quite brutally.
Yeah.
Then Natalie offers her suggestion. And you can really sense her hesitation, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. You can hear it in the language. She prefaces her suggestion with perhaps which just screams tentativeness. Maybe she saw how Roger's idea went down in flames and is bracing herself.
Could be. And what did she suggest?
She suggests a promotion, maybe a 2-for-1 offer or something like that.
Okay, so she brings up the idea of a promotion, specifically mentioning that 2-for-1 offer, the exact type of strategy we discussed earlier as a common way to try and drive sales quickly. How does the manager react to this idea? Is he any more receptive?
Not one bit. His reaction is just as immediate and just as harsh as it was with Roger. He practically cuts her off and dismisses it just as quickly. What? That's the same thing? Bad idea. Really bad idea.
Wow. He lumps it in with Roger's idea.
Yeah, he seems to categorize the promotion idea as just as uncreative or ineffective as lowering prices. And again, uses really strong negative language, bad idea, really bad idea, to just completely shut it down. No discussion, no exploration, just rejection.
So that's 2 ideas proposed by his team members and 2 swift, harsh, dismissive rejections from the manager. The atmosphere in that room must be absolutely suffocating at this point. I mean, who would dare suggest anything else after seeing that?
Exactly my thought. The employees have seen 2 attempts met with immediate criticism and dismissal. It creates this climate of fear, really, where participation feels risky, creativity, open sharing of ideas. It's being actively discouraged by this kind of reaction.
Yeah, you can imagine the employees are probably just thinking, okay, head down, mouth shut, let's just get through this meeting.
Right, just wishing it was over. And then the material describes this sudden pivotal moment, the arrival of Mr. Swan, the CEO.
The big boss arrives. And what happens then?
There's an immediate shift. You can feel it in the description. The energy in the room changes, and very tellingly, so does the manager's behavior. The employees show deference. You hear, "Hello, Mr. Swan. Oh, Mr. Swan."
They snap to attention.
Kind of. And the manager, who was just dominating the conversation and harshly dismissing ideas, he instantly changes his tune. He becomes deferential himself toward his boss.
Okay, interesting. And when the CEO enters and asks, so do we have any ideas yet?
No.
The manager's response, used on the material, is, well, it's nothing short of fascinating.
It truly is. It's a masterclass in maneuvering, maybe. The manager executes this swift and really remarkable pivot. He immediately presents an idea to the CEO. He says, "Yes, Mr. Swan, we were kind of considering a 2-for-1 offer."
Wait, hang on. Considering a 2-for-1 offer. That's the exact idea Natalie had just suggested.
Right.
The one he called a bad idea, really bad idea. Literally moments before.
The very same one. The contrast is just astounding. He not only presents Natalie's idea, but he frames it as if it was a plan the team was already genuinely contemplating. We were kind of considering.
And notice the we.
Yes. Crucially, he attributes it to the collective we, which effectively lets him take ownership, or at least co-ownership, of an idea he had just trashed when his employee suggested it.
Unbelievable. So what does that tell you about this manager?
Well, it paints a pretty clear picture, doesn't it? It looks like a textbook example of a manager who's much more focused on managing upwards looking good in front of his boss than on genuinely leading and supporting his own team. He quickly abandons his critical stance on the idea the second he perceives it might be well received by the CEO.
Okay, so the manager presents this 2-for-1 idea to the CEO. Then we see the CEO's reaction to the same promotion idea.
And his reaction is the complete opposite of the manager's initial reaction. The CEO responds positively. He says, I kind of like the sound of that.
Okay, initial positive feeling.
Then he phrases it a bit more formally, saying, it sounds like something we should consider. And ultimately, he ramps it up, declaring it a brilliant idea, and even adds that it's very creative.
Sounds like something we should consider. We touched on to consider earlier as one of those useful words for sounding a bit more professional.
Yeah.
What did the material highlight about its usage again?
Yeah, the material points out that to consider is often used as a natural, more professional, or maybe just smarter sounding way of saying thinking about something. It tends to imply a more serious or deliberate contemplation than just casually thinking about it.
It gives it a bit more weight.
Yeah.
And the examples provided reinforce that more formal or business-like tone.
They do. Instead of saying, we are thinking about doing a sales promotion, using, we're considering a sales promotion just sounds a bit more formal, maybe more planned.
Right.
Similarly, I think we need to consider a new sales strategy. Sounds more strategic than just think about a new sales strategy. And asking, have you considered reducing the price? Feels like a slightly more formal way to ask if that option has been seriously evaluated, rather than just thought about.
So the CEO's use of, it sounds like something we should consider, indicates he sees real potential in the promotion idea that is worth giving serious thought and maybe taking action on.
That's exactly the implication. It signals it's on the table for serious discussion and possible implementation.
And then he elevates his praise even further by calling it a brilliant idea.
Yes, brilliant. That word is specifically highlighted in the material as a strong, emphatic alternative to simply saying, great idea. It signifies something that's really, really good. Exceptional, even.
More impact than just great.
Definitely. The material notes it might be used slightly more often in British English, perhaps, but its meaning of strong positive approval is universally understood in English-speaking business contexts. It adds punch.
So phrases like, that's a brilliant idea, or this is a brilliant marketing plan, or what a brilliant suggestion, they all convey a very high level of approval and excitement about the idea's quality or potential.
Absolutely. It's a powerful adjective to use when you really want to express strong enthusiasm for an idea. It leaves no doubt about your positive assessment.
Okay, now this is where the critical insight from the material really comes into sharp focus. And it's such a striking point. Let's just recap. The manager heard 2-for-1 promotion from his employee, Natalie, and immediately called it a bad idea, really bad idea.
Right. Total showdown.
Mr. Swan, the CEO, heard the exact same idea presented by the manager as something we were kind of considering and called it a brilliant idea, very creative, and something we should consider.
This contrast is really the crux of the dynamic presented here. The idea itself did not change one bit. Its reception, its evaluation changed dramatically based solely on who was presenting it, or at least appearing to present it.
And who was receiving it within the company hierarchy.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't about the idea's inherent merit at that point.
So what does this tell us about the manager's leadership and, frankly, his judgment?
Well, it strongly suggests his judgment is either poor or, perhaps more likely, it's heavily influenced by who he's talking to. He seems quick to dismiss his subordinates, maybe to appear decisive or knowledgeable himself, but he's equally quick to adopt an idea and present it as his own, or the team's, when he thinks it might gain favor with his superior.
So his reaction wasn't based on the objective quality of the idea at all.
It certainly doesn't seem like it was. It seems based on his perception of how it would land with the CEO. It shows potentially a lack of confidence in his own team's judgment and an over-reliance on seeking approval from above. Or worse, maybe just pure opportunism.
And what does this stark contrast reveal about how ideas might gain traction or be stifled in this particular company environment?
It paints a pretty concerning picture, doesn't it? It suggests that hierarchy and maybe internal politics could matter more than the actual quality of an idea. An employee's genuinely good idea might get instantly dismissed by their direct manager.
But this same idea, when presented upwards by that manager, perhaps even disingenuously, can suddenly be praised as brilliant by the CEO.
Exactly. And that kind of environment is really toxic for innovation and morale. It discourages employees from speaking up. Why would you stick your neck out with an idea if you know it might be rejected unfairly, or maybe even worse, stolen by your manager if it turns out to be good?
Yeah, it stifles things. Genuine problem solving probably suffers if ideas aren't evaluated on their merit, but on the messenger's rank or the manager's desire to impress their own boss.
It becomes about navigating the politics, not finding the best solution.
It's a powerful lesson in the real-world impact of company culture and leadership style. The fate of that promotion idea wasn't sealed by its brilliance or lack thereof initially, but by the political landscape of that meeting room.
That's a great way to put it. The promotion idea itself was constant, but its journey from bad idea to brilliant idea is a real commentary on the human and hierarchical elements at play in that specific business setting.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly now and pull out some of the other useful language points highlighted in the material. These are phrases that can help you, the listener, sound more natural, more confident, maybe more professional in your own business conversations.
Good plan. Because beyond the core business terms like drive sales or match competitors, the material offered some really great phrases that are just common in everyday professional interactions, useful additions to your toolkit.
First up, a really simple but very common way to indicate someone's imminent arrival. Be here any minute.
Oh yeah, this is a supernatural idiom. Native English speakers use it constantly. Instead of saying someone will arrive very soon or will arrive shortly, which can sound a little formal sometimes, you can just say they'll be here any minute.
It feels more immediate somehow.
Yeah.
And the examples from the material capture that sense of expected arrival perfectly.
They do. Like, hurry up, the bus will be here any minute when you're waiting at the stop and you see it coming.
Yeah, adds urgency.
Or Nick just called, he said he should be here any minute, tells you someone's very close. And of course, in the dialogue itself, when they say the CEO will be here any minute, it builds that immediate anticipation of his arrival. It conveys a sense of nearness, of imminence, that just saying soon doesn't quite capture in the same way.
It's a small phrase, but using it correctly definitely makes your English sound much more fluid and natural. less like textbook English.
Absolutely. Another excellent word we just discussed in the meeting context is to consider.
Right, using to consider as that slightly more professional or maybe more formal alternative to just saying thinking about.
Exactly. While thinking about is perfectly fine, totally correct and understandable, to consider often carries this nuance of more deliberate evaluation, maybe more serious contemplation. Especially in business or more formal settings, using consider can make your language sound a bit more sophisticated, maybe more business savvy.
And the materials examples really show how you can just swap it in quite easily.
Yeah, they're good illustrations. Instead of, we are thinking about a sales promotion, you could easily say, we're considering a sales promotion. Sounds a bit more strategic. Instead of, I think we need to think about a new sales strategy, saying, I think we need to consider a new sales strategy, just lands with a bit more weight. And asking, have you thought about reducing the price, becomes a slightly more focused, maybe more formal question as, have you considered reducing the price?
So it's like a simple upgrade you can use to polish your business English a bit.
That's a good way to think about it, a simple upgrade.
And finally, that strong positive adjective the CEO used, brilliant.
Yes, brilliant. As the material notes, while saying great idea is common and perfectly fine, using brilliant when you really think an idea is exceptionally good adds significant emphasis. It adds energy. It's a way to express strong, enthusiastic approval.
Definitely packs more punch than just good or great.
It really does. The material highlights its power. Saying, that's a brilliant marketing plan, or what a brilliant suggestion, conveys a much stronger sense of excitement and approval than using a less emphatic word like good.
So it's good to have in your vocabulary for when you genuinely feel that strongly.
Absolutely. And it's good to notice how native speakers use these stronger adjectives like brilliant or fantastic or outstanding. Incorporating them appropriately when you genuinely mean it can make your own communication more impactful and expressive. Shows conviction.
Definitely. Okay, so those are some useful phrases drawn directly from the material to help boost your fluency in a business context. The material also touched briefly on a few other related business concepts in its review section. Let's just quickly connect those back to the broader context of this sales meeting we've been dissecting.
Okay, sounds good. We already discussed competitive quite a bit in the context of Roger's suggestion to match competitors, meaning being strong or advantageous compared to others in the market.
Right. And the entire purpose of the meeting, trying to come up with solutions like promotions or price changes, is ultimately to become more competitive
in sales. That's the goal. The material defines this very simply as making sales successfully. All the efforts, all the strategies, all the promotions are ultimately aimed at winning sales from customers, and ideally winning them from your competitors too.
And the overall discussion in the meeting, the search for concrete solutions, is essentially centered around finding the right sales strategy, isn't it?
Exactly. The material defines sales strategy as the plans for a company's sales activities. The manager's demand for concrete solutions is basically a demand for the tangible elements that will make up this strategy, the specific actions they're going to take to drive sales. What's the plan?
Gotcha. The material also mentions the sales cycle. What's that about?
Yes, the sales cycle. It's defined as the process a customer goes through when deciding to buy a product. You can think about it as all the steps involved, maybe from a potential customer first becoming aware of your product, through researching it, comparing it, all the way to making the purchase, and maybe even becoming a repeat customer afterwards.
So it's the customer's journey.
Pretty much. And while the meeting dialogue doesn't really detail the stages of their sales cycle, the strategies they are discussing, like promotions, are designed to influence specific points within that cycle, maybe accelerate the consideration phase or prompt action in the closing phase. It's the fundamental process that all sales efforts are trying to impact.
Okay. Another goal related to winning sales is probably to outsell the competition.
Right. Simply put, to sell more than others. When a company implements what they hope is a successful sales strategy, the ultimate aim is often that they will outsell their rivals in the market, gaining a larger share of the available business. Market share is key.
And finally, the concept of customer loyalty.
Yes, this is defined in the material as when a customer buys the same brand over and over. It represents repeat business, a strong customer relationship, which is incredibly valuable.
And how does that relate here?
Well, while the sales meeting seemed very focused on immediate solutions to drive sales now because of the urgency, it's worth considering, even if the material doesn't explicitly spell it out, how the strategies they debated might impact loyalty in the longer term.
That's an interesting point. Like, would constantly relying on deep discounts or BU-Go offers actually build long-term loyalty?
Exactly. Or would it primarily attract price-sensitive customers who might just jump ship as soon as a competitor offers a slightly better deal? It's a broader business concept, but it provides interesting context for evaluating the long-term effectiveness of the kind of short-term sales tactics they were discussing. Quick fixes versus sustainable growth.
That's a great point. It really shows how these terms, even the ones not central to the immediate dialogue, are all interconnected in the larger landscape of running a business and trying to succeed. Understanding these related concepts gives you, the listener, a much fuller picture.
Absolutely. They provide the framework, the bigger picture within which specific conversations like the one we analyzed actually take place. It's all part of the same ecosystem.
Now let's spend some significant time on what is perhaps the most compelling, maybe the most relatable element of this entire scenario from the material: the management dynamic. The behavior of the manager in this meeting provides such a stark case study.
It really does. I mean, the material presents this manager in a decidedly negative light, and his actions throughout that short interaction clearly illustrate why. We can really detail exactly why his behavior comes across as poor based on what we heard and what the material itself highlights.
Okay, let's break down the specific ways this manager seems to fall short, according to this snapshot.
Well, first and foremost, he is clearly not motivating his team. His opening demand for immediate, concrete solutions, delivered with that intense, almost aggressive tone we talked about. It creates pressure, sure, but likely anxiety too. Not inspiration, not a desire to contribute your best ideas.
Yeah, it feels more like demanding than leading.
Right. He's demanding results without creating an environment where productive problem solving can actually happen. He's setting them up to fail, almost.
Then, as we saw so clearly with both Roger and Natalie, he shuts down ideas incredibly quickly and harshly. Roger's suggestion about pricing, met with dismissive language like, not very creative, the killer phrase, it'll never fly, and that really critical, invalidating question, what kind of thinking is that?
Just brutal. And Natalie's promotion idea gets the exact same treatment, that immediate, sharp dismissal. What? That's the same thing. Bad idea, really bad idea. He doesn't pause. He doesn't try to understand the idea, ask any clarifying questions, offer any constructive feedback.
Nope, just slams the door shut.
Yeah. Uses strongly negative and dismissive language. End of story.
And then, maybe the most damning behavior, the one highlighted so starkly by the CEO's arrival, is his blatant self-contradiction, and what looks very much like an attempt to take credit for an idea he just rejected.
It's quite something. The moment Mr. Swan appears, that bad idea, really bad idea promotion suddenly transforms into something we were kind of considering, and then he seems to align himself with it even further, saying that's just what I was thinking after the CEO praises it.
Yeah, that little add-on is telling.
It's such a clear demonstration of a manager prioritizing his own image, his relationship with his superior, over supporting his team or genuinely evaluating their input. This kind of behavior is incredibly damaging. It ruins team morale, destroys trust, and crushes the willingness of employees to take risks and contribute ideas. I mean, why would you offer an idea if you think it might be trashed, or worse, stolen, if it turns out good?
So based purely on this snapshot, how would working for someone like this actually feel on a daily basis?
Oh, it would likely feel incredibly stressful, discouraging, demotivating. You'd probably be walking on eggshells all the time, afraid to speak up, afraid to offer suggestions, knowing you might just get criticized or dismissed immediately.
No psychological safety.
None whatsoever. It would be really hard to feel invested in the team's success or the company's success if your contributions are treated that way. Trust would be severely, severely damaged. It sounds like a pretty miserable working environment, frankly.
This vividly bad example provides such a powerful contrast to what good management actually looks like. And the material explicitly offers a counterexample, doesn't it?
It does. It briefly describes a positive example, a manager who was the opposite. Someone who was encouraging, who took the time to know employees by name, tried to connect with them personally, made them feel good about the company and their role in it. Someone who inspired them to work hard and feel like they were part of a special unified team working towards a common goal.
So the polar opposite of the manager in our dialogue.
Exactly. Night and day.
Why is this distinction between good and bad management, as shown so clearly in this material, so critically important in a business context? What's the so what for the company's bottom line even?
Well, this is where it all ties together, really. The material makes the connection explicit. A good manager, one who motivates, encourages, supports their employees, directly impacts how hard those employees are willing to work. It's that simple.
It affects effort and engagement.
Absolutely. When people feel valued, when they feel respected, when they feel part of a team where their voice matters, they are naturally more engaged, they're more productive, they're more likely to go that extra mile for the company's success.
And presumably, they're more likely to offer up those good ideas.
Precisely. They're more likely to feel safe enough to contribute those crucial, concrete solutions that the manager in our dialogue was demanding, but actively discouraging through his behavior.
So ironically, the manager in our dialogue, by being so critical, so dismissive, and perhaps even dishonest about his team's ideas, he's actively sabotaging the very things he needs from his team.
That's exactly how it looks. He's sabotaging the motivation, the teamwork, the creative problem-solving required to drive sales and find those concrete solutions he's asking for. His management style is completely counterproductive to the stated goals of the meeting and the company.
Wow. He's creating barriers through his own behavior.
It seems that way. A truly effective manager, faced with the same situation, would likely have tried to create an environment where Roger and Natalie felt safe offering their ideas. They would have listened constructively, maybe asked follow-up questions like, okay, tell me more about that, or how would that work logistically?
Help them develop the idea.
Yes, guide them towards more refined or maybe more concrete versions of their suggestions, rather than just shutting them down instantly. A good manager helps cultivate the solutions they need from their team. A bad one, like this example seems to be, suppresses them.
This gives you, the listener, so much to reflect on, doesn't it? In your own professional life. We really invite you to think about your own experiences with leaders, with managers. What specific actions or qualities in a manager have made you feel motivated, supported, willing to contribute your best work and ideas?
And conversely, what behaviors have shut you down or made you disengage?
Exactly. What kind of leader does this material suggest you would want to work for? Or perhaps even more importantly, if you find yourself in a position of leadership now or in the future, what kind of leader would you strive to be? This manager, though just a snapshot, provides a very clear lesson in the tangible negative consequences of poor leadership.
It's a really valuable lesson. It goes way beyond just learning vocabulary. It's about understanding the human dynamics and the real impact of leadership effectiveness in the workplace.
Okay, we've covered some really significant ground in this deep dive. We started by setting that urgent scene of the sales meeting, highlighting the immense pressure to drive sales with concrete, immediate solutions.
Right. Then we define that foundational vocabulary terms like drive sales, meaning increase sales, and promotion, understanding it as a specific marketing tactic, with clear examples like buy one, get one free, or temporary price reductions.
Then we really dove deep into analyzing the meeting dynamics. We dissected Roger's logical, if maybe simple, idea to address being the most expensive in the market by attempting to match the competitors, particularly on price.
And we examine the manager's incredibly harsh rejection using that powerful idiom, it'll never fly. We looked at Natalie's tentative promotion idea and that dramatic turning point with the CEO's arrival.
And the CEO's completely different, positive reception of that exact same idea using more professional terms like consider and high praise like brilliant.
We spent quite a bit of time on that striking contrast between the manager's and the CEO's reactions, didn't we? How it illustrated a key insight about power, perception, and influence in business.
Definitely. We also pulled out some practical phrases to help boost your business English fluency, things like the natural-sounding be here any minute, revisiting to consider as a more professional alternative to thinking about, and using impactful adjectives like brilliant for strong approval.
And we briefly touched upon those other related business concepts from the material. Just to round out the picture, the nature of being competitive, the objective to win sales and outsell rivals, the overarching need for a clear sales strategy, understanding the sales cycle as the customer's journey, and maybe considering the longer-term concept of customer loyalty in relation to short-term tactics.
Finally, and maybe most importantly, we dedicated significant focus to that management dynamic presented in the material. We critiqued the manager's specific poor behaviors, the lack of motivation, the harsh dismissal of ideas, the self-contradiction, the apparent taking of credit.
And we contrasted that with the material's positive example of supportive management, discussing at length why good leadership that genuinely encourages and motivates employees is absolutely vital for a company's success. It fosters that crucial willingness to contribute, to innovate, and to work hard as a team.
Our goal, really, was that by deeply exploring these phrases, these dynamics, all drawn from the material, you'd gain more confidence in navigating your own business conversations, and perhaps develop a sharper eye for identifying effective or, unfortunately sometimes ineffective, leadership styles you encounter in your own professional journey.
Yeah, hopefully equipping you with both the language and the insight into the dynamics behind the language.
Absolutely. And based on everything we've explored in this deep dive, especially that stark contrast, the manager calling the promotion idea bad, the CEO calling the same idea brilliant just moments later after the manager presented it. Here's something to maybe leave you thinking about.
Okay.
What is that dramatic difference in how the exact same idea was received? Tell us, fundamentally, about communication, power structures, and influence in a business setting. It really forces us to consider that simply having a good or even a brilliant idea might not always be enough for it to succeed.
That's a sobering thought.
Its fate can depend just as much on who presents it, who is listening, and how it fits within the organizational hierarchy, the internal politics. It's a powerful reminder, isn't it, that business success involves navigating those human dynamics just as much as it does having innovative thoughts or concrete plans. Something definitely worth considering as you move forward in your own career.